On our last night in Tequis, I went out for dinner to a nicely rated restaurant down the street from our Airbnb, and it was very good. It was a lovely restaurant. They were playing Bee Gees from the 1980s or 1970s. I had a hamburger, which I had been craving, and it was very good. As our time in Tequis came to an end, I was really tempted to stay there. It's definitely on my short list of places to go back to. And when I got online, I saw places that I could afford to live in, apartments and houses. But I'm not ready to settle down yet. There's so much more I want to see. And this may sound strange, but there's a certain geography I'm looking for. Even though I love this semi-arid, semi-desert climate with all the sun, I miss the trees. And so I want to see a lot more of Mexico. I didn't think that we'd be headed to the state of Mexico next. I thought we'd be going east towards Hidalgo. Airbnb showed me a property that was to the south in the state of Mexico, and it looked intriguing, so I took a look at it. The whole area looks so green with big trees and lovely that I kind of got sucked into looking at the whole area for rentals, and then I had an offer I couldn't refuse. It's way more space than we need, but I got an offer from an Airbnb owner after I had declined the rental, saying it was just for me, one person, and I couldn't pay what they were asking. She immediately wrote back and offered me the house for about half the price. That sealed the deal for me, and I decided to spend some time in Villa del Carbon. So we came to the state of Mexico instead of Hidalgo, and we're in Villa del Carbon, which is a place I've never heard of. And I've been a tourist in Mexico for over 20 years, but I've never heard of this pueblo magico. It's beautiful and it's very different from what we've been used to. On our way, the last stretch of road was a smaller street, sometimes one lane, with a lot of topes. When I looked on the map, I saw all these deep grooves to the north of Villa del Carbon. It looked like water had flooded down for millions of years. What this looked like in person was deep canyons with beautiful views. The drive was spectacular, and I wish I could have gotten better video to show it. It explained the Sunday drivers and groups of motorcycles that I encountered. It was a lovely drive. Villa del Carbon sits at about 6,500 feet above sea level, northwest of Mexico City, and about 10,000 people. The first thing I noticed in the area was all the big trees. Villa del Carbon has a wonderful municipal park near the Zocalo, and it felt like being in a manicured forest. The architecture here is a little different from other places we've been. They use the heavy wood that is abundant in this area. Most of the houses and other buildings in this town have red and white facades with pitched roofs covered in Spanish-style clay tile. The main church of the town is called Temple of Nuestra Señora de la Peña de Francia, and it was constructed starting in 1700. Across from the church is the main town plaza called Plaza Hidalgo. The kiosk in the center was the site of the town's fountain, which used to provide potable water for the community. Unlike many Zocolos, there are many giant trees here in the square. It's surrounded by interesting shops and nice-looking restaurants. Upon taking a look at a few menus, it seems like red meat is the specialty here, with many cuts on the menu, and barbacoa is very popular. I walk around and see no apparent foreigners, no gringos, and only Spanish being spoken. After I get a better look at the town, I realize there's more to it than I thought. It does get tourists, Mexican tourists. Being near to Mexico City, I'm thinking people come here for the clean air and skies and this lovely colonial town. There are many shops surrounding the Zocalo, and clearly the specialty of the area is leather crafting. Much of the territory consists of rugged hills and mountains, with the high point being Cerro de la Bufa at 3,600 meters above sea level. These mountains here are known as the Sierra de Monte Alto, covered in conifer forests. The environment creates a climate that I was surprised by. This is my first time in this part of Mexico, and when we got here, it was spring-like weather at about 70 degrees Fahrenheit and lovely sunshine. It seemed like many of the residents here were wearing warm clothes, hoodies and puffer jackets, and I'd wonder why when it was so comfortable. I soon found out what they already knew. It has a climate here like San Francisco in summer. Frequent fog in the morning and temps that rarely get above 70 degrees in July. It wasn't long before I had my own warm clothes out. There are frequent afternoon and evening thunderstorms, keeping everything so green. Well, the storm came early today, but just like every afternoon almost here, the afternoon breeze blows in some really dark clouds, and every day we get a storm. And I'm not just talking about drizzle. Serious storms with thunder and lightning. We just got drenched, me and Vigo. Iggy, are you soaked? Iggy's all wet. And we just lost power in the house. No electricity. Oh, there it goes. It's on again. Yay! We were having our usual evening rainstorm here. I don't know if you can hear that thunder, but our power went out. So we're just snuggling in bed for a while. It's Vigo in the candlelight. It's a Sunday morning and the sun came out, so I'm gonna go to the market. Yesterday that was an empty field, and now it's a pop-up kitchen. There are many Americans, Canadians, and people from other countries living, traveling, and vacationing in Mexico. So what's it like living far away from the tourist trail? For one thing, no one I have met speaks English. Not that I would expect that they did, but in many other parts of Mexico, English is spoken by many locals. Good, more practice for me. There are cultural differences here that are delightful surprises. On Sunday, the hardworking little town came alive like a party. Many people in the market and Zocalo shopping, eating, playing music. It was very lively. I wish I had a friend here to ask if this was a special occasion, or is it like this on every Sunday? I guess I'll see next week. There were people of all ages, teenagers flirting, families strolling together, very old people joining in, and children running around. They had set up extra parking, and the market was 3 times the size it was on a weekday. Some of my neighbors set up pop-up kitchens and had lots of customers selling whole meals and snacks and drinks. I was offered fried insects to eat, which I declined. I'm not a very adventurous eater. The people here are friendly and welcoming and don't seem surprised to see me, a foreign tourist who can't speak much Spanish, but my lack of language skills are a definite negative when it comes to learning about local customs and traditions. I had noticed there's a tortilla maker, a tortilleria, almost on every block around here. So the one downstairs and down the street from me, they make blue corn tortillas. And so I stopped by and got some. It's always a little embarrassing to start with. I don't speak much Spanish, but I said I would like 10, and she said, oh, they go by the kilo. And I said, can I have 10? And so she gave me 10. Meanwhile, she gave me one fresh one. They were all fresh, they're still hot. She gave me one to try with a bunch of rock salt. It was really good. The blue corn is being milled right there. She asked me where I'm from, and I told her the United States, and that I was trying to learn Spanish, and she said something like, we come here to learn Spanish, and they go there and learn English. And then she said something, and all the ladies laughed and looked at me, but I didn't catch what it was. So I just laughed along too. They're still hot from the press. They were grinding flour right there. And a lot of times when you first show up, they look apprehensive just for a minute, just like not friendly just for a second. And then as soon as I say hello and I don't speak much Spanish, but I'd like to do this or that, buy this, they break into these wonderful smiles, and it's delightful. And I had a conversation with her, but she did not want to be on camera. So, Big, do you mind? Biggie. Be quiet for a second. She did not want to be on camera, so I only got a shot of the ladies in the background making the tortillas. But it was a nice experience, and if I need more tortillas than 10, I'll go back to her for sure. So, if you ask me, the biggest challenge in traveling through a foreign country, especially if they haven't seen a lot of tourists, and especially if you don't speak the language very well, is the willingness to look like a fool, the willingness to be uncomfortable. Keeping an open heart and a curious attitude in the face of any situation is sometimes hard. You don't know if you'll be in a hostile environment or if the people you're interacting with will face you with scorn or impatience when you try to communicate, and you don't know all their ways of doing things. Luckily for me, Mexicans are known for their kindness.